He was not afraid to lose his career for the sake of his beliefs and risk his health for a role he believed in. He's one of the brightest and most diverse actors in Hollywood. Matthew McConaughey is a mix of talent, charisma, and a great hairstyle. Today, we will talk about the ups and downs in his career and what helped him get rid of the sugary role.
It'd be a real good time for you to come back.
It is Biographer Express, and we're starting. The start of Matthew McConaughey's career can hardly be called thorny. He hadn't to make ends meet, moonlighting as a waiter, paying for acting classes, or shining his face in the extras, so he was finally noticed. Although, let's not dissemble, Matthew also dealt with other crafts. He was engaged in carpentry, but not for providing himself with food until the success. It was Matthew's protest against the oil business that family members wanted to drag him into. The future actor did not want to follow in the footsteps of his father and two older brothers and sell gasoline. His parents compromised with their child and allowed him to go to law, but even there, the future actor did not stay long. At the end of his sophomore year, the young man was impressed by Og Mandino's book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. So McConaughey began to rethink his life and career choice. He decided to start an acting career. So Matthew quickly changed his specialization and went to study drama and stagecraft. After debuting in commercials, the 1993 film Dazed and Confused, directed by Richard Linklater, gave him a chance to shine. How did McConaughey get into the project? Well, there were two versions, both quite real. The first one told that an unknown young actor by chance ran into Linklater in one of the hotels. Matthew was not at a loss and even showed some acting impudence and almost said, "Give me a role in the film, you will not regret it." Of course, everyone was so impressed by his straightforwardness and honest desire to act in films that they immediately gave him the role.
Pain is being shared. Stolen product, loss of earnings meantime, cost of shutting down, the expense of setting up elsewhere.
The next version was not so beautiful and fabulous. It lied in the fact that McConaughey got the role thanks to useful connections. They said that Matthew's character was originally conceived as an episodic role, in which the actor would appear in the shot once and say one line. But McConaughey attracted attention, and the director gave him more screen time. Then no one could have thought that one day the film would become a hit. After all, when it was released, it failed and no one became famous thanks to it. However, many of those who starred in this film subsequently still overtook the popularity. Matthew was no exception. Dazed and Confused got him a good start. After that, McConaughey got the lead role in Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. Initially, Matthew was supposed to get a supporting role, but luck and assertiveness played into his hands. He got the lead role and was so accustomed to it that he brought his partner to tears at the audition by threatening her with a spoon. And did it till she cried, and they yelled "cut," and Kim was like, "That was good," and the girl was like, "Yeah, that was really good. You scared me." But having received 3 unfortunate points out of 10, the film failed. And here, Matthew McConaughey began his career as a walking failure for every project. After all, no matter where Matthew worked, the film failed, and no matter which role he had, Angels in the Outfield was the only film that escaped Matthew McConaughey's misfortune. Although it failed at the box office, it was not as miserable as other movies with Matthew's participation. Some of the films with the participation of the actor immediately failed. For example, Spring of the Scorpion. It slightly outperformed The Texas Massacre: The Next Generation and received 4 points out of 10. Glory Days and Boys on the Side repeated the fate of Spring of the Scorpion. McConaughey's vicious cycle of failure was broken in 1996 with Lone Star. The dramatic detective gave the actor the lead role and the opportunity to express himself. A Time to Kill was even more successful and broke the deadlock in his career. We have something interesting about this film too. Initially, when no one knew about McConaughey, he decided to audition for a supporting role in A Time to Kill, which was later played by Kiefer Sutherland. And Kevin Costner was chosen for the lead role at that moment. McConaughey did not even try to compete with Costner and did not have to. The bad temper of Costner played into the hands of Matthew. The fact was that the actor wanted to manage all the processes and didn't take into account the opinion of the director and screenwriter. Maybe such a whim would have worked somewhere at the peak of Costner's popularity. However, at that time, Kevin's career was already unsuccessful. Therefore, the producers said goodbye to Costner. And after Costner left the project, McConaughey was asked to audition for the lead role, and Matthew got it. Even though the critics did not appreciate the film, it was especially criticized for racism. The picture did remarkably at the box office, grossing $152 million with a budget of $40 million. McConaughey received the Best Breakthrough Performance Award from MTV, and the film itself almost won the Golden Raspberry for the worst film of those that collected more than $100 million at the box office. In any case, A Time to Kill helped McConaughey move on and get into projects like Amistad and Contact. The story about Amistad was very simple. Spielberg personally called McConaughey and told him to audition. But we have a more curious tale about Contact. Accidents intervened again. By that time, George Miller was the director of the film. The pre-production of Contact dragged on a lot. Miller constantly corrected the script. As a result, the studio was already so tired they said goodbye to the director, and they replaced him with Robert Zemeckis, who in turn began to expel the actors taken by Miller.
I think that hurt my chances with that interview. What do you think?
Zemeckis liked the movie A Time to Kill and decided to call McConaughey and invite him to audition. Neither the first nor the second project grossed millions, but the audience liked the films and critics rated them positively. However, two more failures involving McConaughey were in 1998 and 1999. The first one, The Newton Boys, was a little more fortunate with a budget of $27 million. They managed to gross $10 million. It was a flop. But the next film, EDTV, had a bigger gap with a budget of $80 million. The film grossed only $35 million. In the 2000s, Matthew got lucky again. Michael Douglas left the U-571. The project began to crumble, and the studio urgently needed someone to replace Douglas. McConaughey was going through hard times in his field. He didn't get many job offers, so he did not refuse the proposition to star in a military drama for just $1 million. At the box office, the film was much more successful than expected. It was criticized during previews, and the production had to take risks. The studio decided to remove the adult rating from the film, cutting all the bloody scenes and replacing it with a teen rating. The whole procedure cost the company $2 million. But fortunately, such sacrifices were not in vain. Thanks to its teen rating, the film grossed $127 million at the box office against an original budget of $62 million. However, McConaughey was not satisfied with this outcome and decided to change something in his acting career. Many say that it was thanks to his acting work in the cinema that McConaughey won the love of women. But everything was quite the opposite. It was not the films that led the actor to Don Juanism, but Don Juanism to films. In the meantime, write in the comments, what is the most memorable role of an actor for you? And we continue to talk about the quirks of the actor which provided him with career success. Stories about his relationship and various outrages appeared on the pages of newspapers and magazines back in the late 90s. Although the actor was not invited to films aimed at a female audience, most often McConaughey conflicted with his neighbors because he loved to walk around his house without underwear, and everything would be fine if he did not demonstrate everything from the balcony to the whole district. Once, police visited McConaughey and he met them naked, stoned, and with a bong. The actor resisted arrest, but was detained for possession of weed and inappropriate behavior. A scandal erupted. Of course, thanks to his good acting reputation, McConaughey was quickly released and simply paid a fine. We must pay tribute to the attention of the press to McConaughey because it was with the help of numerous high-profile scandalous headlines that he got the first role in a romantic comedy. Matthew was afraid to act in this kind of genre, so he asked the studio for his higher fee of $5 million, and the studio agreed. We are now talking about the 2001 film The Wedding Planner, in which Jennifer Lopez starred. Initially, the producers did not plan any large-scale project. It was supposed to be a small film with young, promising actors and actresses. However, all the time, someone left the project for the sake of other, more successful projects which prevented the film from being fully launched. At a time when once again it was necessary to decide to shelf the movie, the studio ventured on Jennifer Lopez and her $9 million fee, as well as on Matthew McConaughey with his $5 million. As a result, the film did well at the box office, collecting $94 million with a budget of $36 million. In the same period, the actor starred in two more small projects, 13 Conversations About One Thing and Frailty. Both, unfortunately, failed. However, no one really noticed that since the films had a small budget, up to $10 million. Those two films did not give much success to McConaughey, but allowed him to show himself as an actor. But in 2002, a series of failures began again. The first on the list was the action-adventure Reign of Fire by Rob Bowman. On the set of the film, McConaughey already had significant star status. Because of it, Christian Bale had to pump up his muscles and gain muscle mass, although initially the actor saw his character differently. According to Bale, a person who survived the apocalypse was unlikely to look like a well-groomed jock, but Matthew McConaughey got into the project as a pumped-up, handsome man. And since McConaughey and Bale were in tandem and had joint battle scenes, it would be strange to pair the super-muscular Matthew and the thin, emaciated Bale. So someone had to give in and go training to catch up with a colleague.
That's a big tank.
Bale spent 3 months intensively working out in the gym and gaining weight. There was a strict rule on the set for Matthew to get used to the role as best as possible. Everyone could only address him by the name of his character, Van Zandt. At the same time, the rule extended beyond the work on the film. Reign of Fire failed at the box office, grossing only $82 million against a $60 million budget. But as soon as McConaughey survived the setback, another offer for a role in a rom-com appeared. The film How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days was a real triumph. It made $178 million at the box office on a budget of $50 million. Since that time, Matthew's status as a rom-com star has gradually been consolidated. Most of the roles were not different. A handsome man was a bachelor who wins the heart of the main character, and critics called him the male version of Jennifer Aniston. And at first, the actor was even happy with it. I'm proud of my work in romantic comedies. These pictures are not as simple as they seem at first glance. Here, you need to be able to do everything truthfully with all the sincerity of feelings. I'm glad if someone thinks this is just a gig, but it really isn't. You have to give your all to comedy. But not everything was smooth. At the same time, McConaughey decided to star in another unsuccessful project, Tiptoes. People who were involved in the film production claimed that initially, before the producers rejected all the interesting film decisions of director Matthew Bright, the film was not like a comedy but was action-packed and more tragic. But after the intervention of the studio, it lost its original intent. Critics simply destroyed the picture, and the viewer awarded the film 4 points out of 10. Breck Eisner's 2005 film Sahara was also unlucky and failed at the box office. Although Clive Cussler, the author of the book of the same name, claimed that the script was good, it was not a funny comedy because of the director and producers. The actor got the lead role of the adventure and treasure hunter Dirk Pitt, for which he trained very hard in the gym. In addition, Matthew had a chance to try himself as an executive producer of the picture. For participation in the project, McConaughey received his highest fee at that time, $8 million, and the studio received large losses. $130 million film grossed only $119 million at the box office. Most likely, Matthew McConaughey signed a contract with the project as he liked the original script and believed that it would be a really good film. Moreover, it had great potential for sequels. The actor was signed for 3 parts at once, and Clive Cussler had about 20 more books of material for numerous sequels. If the film was lucky, then its sequels could shoot endlessly. Two for the Money, where Al Pacino was Matthew's partner on set, also failed, and here rom-com came to the rescue again. Of course, we are talking about Failure to Launch, which showed pretty good results at the box office. But gradually, rom-coms began to bring less and less profit. Fool's Gold grossed only $111 million from the original $70 million. Then the failed We Are Marshall and Surfer Dude followed. We can say that McConaughey was a bit lucky with only one film, Tropic Thunder. However, the star there was not Matthew, but Tom Cruise. The last rom-com in the actor's career was the film Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. Even though it grossed $112 million at the box office with a budget of $37 million, critics destroyed the film, and the audience was not delighted. The average film rating on aggregator sites was 5 out of 10. At one point, the actor decided to radically change the direction of his career and did away with films for a female audience. And it was a risky decision. According to McConaughey, he does not regret that he starred in such films because for him, it was a way to rest and relax. I'm shirtless rom-com McConaughey, and I'm like, you're damn right I am. Those rom-coms are paying for these houses that I'm renting on the beach, baby. He admitted. But from a certain point, Matthew decided that he would no longer work in this genre, and he ordered his agent not to consider such proposals. From that moment on, McConaughey disappeared from the screens for as long as 3 years. He did not completely retire from films. Nope. Matthew considered various offers during that period, looking for a project in which he could realize himself as a powerful dramatic actor. McConaughey became so entrenched in the image of a sugary Don Juan that he was practically not offered other roles, and the reputation almost made him quit his career. Nothing came in, not one offer for anything. The phone did not ring, and then after 20 months being away, having unbranded, having not been in a theater or in your living room in any romantic comedies, having not seen me shirtless on the beach, I didn't know if I'd ever get work in Hollywood again. So I considered being an elementary teacher. I considered being a high school football coach. I considered being an orchestral conductor, wildlife guide. I considered going back into law. Those roles that were still offered to the actor did not suit him either in terms of scale or the amount of the fee. McConaughey wanted to make as much money from serious films as he did from romantic comedies, but when there were fewer and fewer offers, the selectivity of the actor diminished, and he began to agree to what was offered. The actor decided to compete for the roles of his dreams and was waiting for the right way to realize himself. Matthew McConaughey reappeared on screens in 2011, bringing with him 3 new films. Killer Joe and Bernie were filmed just on enthusiasm, but for The Lincoln Lawyer, the actor even received a good reward of $3 million. But none of those films managed to be a box office success, and they all failed. Killer Joe even didn't break through cinemas. It was believed that the reason for that was the adult rating. The creators and the actor himself wanted to misbehave a little, but the audience did not like such hooliganism and gave the film low scores, although the critics seemed to like it. McConaughey received the most privileges from The Lincoln Lawyer. Everyone predicted that the actor would definitely receive a Golden Globe for the film, or at least be nominated in one of the categories. But the obstacle was that The Lincoln Lawyer was released at the beginning of the year and before the awards period. The film lost its relevance. The year 2012 in McConaughey's career was remembered for the fact that he starred in 3 films on pure enthusiasm and received favorable reviews for all 3 movies. However, he didn't get nominations or awards. For some reason, not a single nomination was given to Steven Soderbergh's film Magic Mike, although it showed excellent results at the box office. And the film Mud received only 1 nomination at Cannes, although it grossed $32 million at the box office with a $10 million budget. All of those films were short-term bursts of success, after which they were quickly forgotten. But here, 2013 finally happened with its long-awaited triumph for Matthew McConaughey. We are talking about the film Dallas Buyers Club. The film had a low budget, only $5 million, and McConaughey starred there for free. The actor got the role of Ron, a cowboy with AIDS, for which he had to lose 44 pounds. He almost refused to participate in the project because he was afraid to make such sacrifices. But in the end, Matthew took the risk, and as it turned out later, not in vain. The 43-year-old actor's daily diet was a Diet Cola, egg whites, and a piece of chicken to lose the pounds. In addition, the actor literally locked himself in the house. It's not as hard to lose weight as it is to reprogram your life. You have to replan the whole day. It seems to you that it is already lunchtime, but in fact, it is only 9:30 in the morning. Since the film had been under development for several years and it was still not possible to start the filming process, they say that the project could have been shelved if McConaughey had not agreed to the role. But even such a trump card as McConaughey could not attract a budget of more impressive than $5 million. Therefore, the creators had to make changes to the script, and they got rid of some scenes on the set. Only a month was allocated for the shooting, so they had to work at a frantic pace. As a result, the film not only paid off the efforts, but also earned well. The film grossed $55 million. McConaughey won an Oscar and a Golden Globe in the Best Actor nomination. Matthew was sure that the role in True Detective, which had already been released at that time, influenced the high appreciation of his talent. Remember, I was back to back to back to back to back. During the Dallas Buyers Club run, I had True Detective in your living room every week. To talk about this freely, True Detective was the best campaigner for Dallas Buyers Club there was. That's why when it came time for True Detective to collect awards and nominations, McConaughey did not receive anything, although critics and viewers admired the way he did the role. Well, let's talk a little about True Detective. Director Nick Pizzolatto liked McConaughey's performance in The Lincoln Lawyer and, without hesitation, gave him the lead role. Initially, he was offered the role of Martin Hart, but the actor preferred the role of his partner, as he wanted to embody a character on the screen who would utter complex philosophical monologues. The first season received rave reviews from critics. The series was named the best television drama of the year. In 2014, Christopher Nolan's film Interstellar was released, starring Matthew McConaughey. Nolan loved McConaughey's performance in Mud, which went unnoticed by everyone else at the box office. He was not nominated for big awards, but Nolan managed to see something in the film and the actor. Interstellar, the budget of which was $165 million, grossed $677 million at the box office. In general, the return to the cinema was successful. A minor but memorable role as the protagonist's boss in The Wolf of Wall Street reinforced a number of successful projects. Interestingly, the famous scene where Matthew and Leonardo DiCaprio beat their chests was pure improvisation. But the profitable period in the cinema did not last long. The reason for this was McConaughey himself, and to be more specific, those projects that he consciously signed up for. The Sea of Trees by Gus Van Sant was the first to fail at the box office. Critics of the Cannes Film Festival simply destroyed it, so no one wanted to rent the picture. The film almost did not show in cinemas, but was only released on DVD. In total, it grossed less than $1 million on a budget of $25 million. Free State of Jones, directed by McConaughey, failed next, and the film itself existed almost only thanks to the actor. He broke into an amorphous project, rewrote the story for himself, brought in director Gary Ross, known to us from The Hunger Games, and even raised $50 million in funding for the film. In fairness, if you looked at the film plot, you could see that the project was quite promising, and it was not strange that McConaughey believed in it so much and invested so much. Here was everything you needed in one bottle: the fight against slavery and interesting historical personalities.
$70. Can do it?
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah, let's go.
Alas, the movie Free State of Jones was not lucky. Complete chaos and confusion reigned on the set. Producers, directors, and McConaughey fought for a leadership position in the team. Everything led to the fact that the film performed horribly at the preview and the studio decided to reshoot many moments. The lack of advertising and promotion, transfers and reshoots made the film collect about $25 million at the box office. It was rumored that the failure of Free State of Jones was due to the historical context of the plot. Many facts in the film had nothing to do with historical reality, and the wide dissemination of information about this immediately extinguished the audience's interest. Free State of Jones was followed by the film Gold, which McConaughey counted on as an opportunity to win an Oscar. The story about a desperate project that was abandoned by all the actors, and the world repeated here again. McConaughey again came to their place to enliven the situation. It was necessary to make sacrifices with physiology again. Not to lose 45 pounds, but to gain them. $20 million was immediately allocated for the film with McConaughey, and here it seemed like everything was set up perfectly. The film was released just in time for the awards season. Everyone thought that as soon as everyone saw McConaughey on the screen, it would somehow save the movie. However, it did not happen, and Gold was only nominated for a Golden Globe. Oh yeah, there was one nomination for the song. The box office of the picture was $14 million with a budget of $20 million. McConaughey sought reassurance in voice acting, but things didn't go smoothly. If he was still lucky with Sing, then Kubo and the Two Strings, which was advertised everywhere with the name McConaughey, was not appreciated at all. The film The Dark Tower failed at the box office and accompanied a chain of failures and victories. From that moment on, McConaughey's career began to slowly decline, even despite the lead roles that the actor was actively offered. Projects of recent years with the participation of the actor failed. For example, the crime comedy White Boy Rick did not pay off the budget. The same thing happened with the thriller Serenity by Stephen Knight. It received low ratings from critics and an average score of about 2 out of 10, according to voting on aggregator sites. McConaughey even received the Golden Raspberry for the role. Critic Bly Morrell called the picture wonderful nonsense, and Emmanuel Biaz, in his review, was genuinely surprised at its existence. The comedy The Beach Bum by Harmony Korine followed them, but the actor does not lose heart and adequately perceives criticism. He believes that criticism is very important for experience and personal growth. My assistants gathered every negative review I've ever had, and it was a good, thick pile. I sat down and said, we're going to read every one of these. There was some really good constructive criticism. I'm like, that's what I would have said about that performance, you're right. He had some good projects in recent years. For example, The Gentleman by Guy Ritchie grossed $115 million with a $22 million budget, becoming very popular among viewers. We hope that Matthew will soon have an offer to some equally cool film. And we invite you to click the bell and subscribe to our channel so as to not miss new interesting stories about your favorite actors and musicians. In recent years, the actor has increasingly mentioned his desire to go into politics. There have been several high-profile announcements that McConaughey is going to run for governor of Texas. However, this remains only statements on various talk shows and interviews. In 2020, the actor released a memoir called Green Lights. He confesses, "Now I'm not as active as I used to be. I read a couple of scripts, but none of them made me get out of my chair and stop writing my memoirs. I should receive something really special to distract me from my work." But there is hope that we will soon be able to see Matthew on the screens. Information about 2 possible projects with the actor appeared in 2023. So, Paramount confirmed information about the spin-off to Yellowstone with McConaughey in the lead role. In addition, Matthew will be able to work with his friend Woody Harrelson again. The actors will star in a comedy series on the Apple TV Plus streaming service where they will play parodies of themselves. McConaughey does not forget about the voice acting. The artist recently voiced Elvis Presley in the Netflix animated series Agent Elvis. Yeah, there may not be many successful films with Matthew on the screen now, but we all know that he will cope with all the difficulties and in the end he will succeed again. Moreover, now Matthew has something to do besides his acting career. In 2019, he became a minority owner of Austin FC, a Major League Soccer team that began playing in 2021. The personal life of the actor is also in full swing. The former desired bachelor has long been happily married and has 3 wonderful children. The well-known macho man and idol of women's hearts showed that thanks to self-confidence and perseverance, one can achieve one's dreams. He is similar to another hero of our channel, who showed character and enviable determination. A model for many men to this day, a model of masculinity. Clint Eastwood. What is the secret of his influence on people, and what makes him one of the most influential people in Hollywood? Click on the video that appears on your screen and find out all the details. And don't forget to like our video. Biographer Express was with you. Bye-bye.